Hello everybody, I regret that I cannot be on the video call this upcoming weekend, but I do have to work my 3 to 11 shifts at the nursing home, so this will have to do. So I have decided to do my presentation on social change. I feel that that was very appropriate given the circumstances and the climate that we are in right now as a nation. So I thought it would be very beneficial to both myself and to those who will be watching this to get to know a little bit more about what the Black Lives Matter movement is and how we as both a sorority and a Latin community can come together and help out those who are disenfranchised and bring about change. So I believe social change was week 6 or 7 of our program's curriculum. So that is what I will be touching on. So I will give you a view of my screen. It's not the best view, but if you're following along, I am on the first slide of this presentation. So social change. So the Black Lives Matter movement. So the Black Lives Matter movement actually started in 2012 with Trayvon Martin and the unlawful death that was caused by George Zimmerman shooting at an unarmed black man who had Skittles and a drink in his hands, and it was confused for a gun and another armed weapon. Tragically, he did die, and Zimmerman was not prosecuted for a long time, and it just became this big phenomenon, and it went viral, and a lot of people were fed up. Enough was enough. There needed to be change. It needed to happen now. So I decided that for my grasp on social change and this whole movement, I wanted to create something with art because I'm a very artistic person. I love putting my thoughts and ideas onto a canvas and creating these masterpieces that can tell a story through painting and through writing. So I created this piece. I used clothespins, paper slips, black paint, yellow paint, and red paint. So I'm now on slide number 5. So the procedures. So I had started with a white canvas, and I wanted to use this white canvas and make it represent something bigger than what it is. So in my eyes, I see it as institutional racism. So our country is based off of white privilege, and whites came to the nation and they took over. They took over the natives who lived here, and they built with the use of slaves. They built this country, and they have made it to where everything benefits them, and oftentimes minority communities are left out. And we see this every day, and we've been seeing this forever, but it's just now that things are finally opening. People are finally understanding the gravity of this situation, and it's just it's a very important piece of history that we need to know about and needs to change, because if institutional racism doesn't change, then racism as a whole can never change. So that's what the white canvas represents. So I was originally gonna paint the whole thing black and just cover it in black and black it out, but I decided to do more of like a brush stroke. So I just did some strokes on it, and it signifies like that black and brown and everybody of color, like, we're slowly dismantling the system. However, it is not completely overrun, because we still see a lot of tension and a lot of racism, discrimination, prejudice, and superiority coming from the Caucasian community and those who are at higher level ups. So it's not completely painted black. So the clothespins they are glued onto the canvas, so they, if it were to flip, it would still be on there. And they are basically used to display the names of victims, much how like on social media, they most like Twitter, you can pin a post that's very important at the time. So this is kind of like representing like, oh, it's just a pin on what is happening now. But keep in mind that a lot of things happened before, and a lot of things hopefully will not continue to happen, but you never know. So it's kind of like a placeholder. The paper slips, they are significant because they are disposable. As hard as it is, most of these hashtags, most of these people who die, weeks later we forget about them, and that's that. I don't want to say that their lives are disposable, but the way that we see them in our society, that is the way that they are depicted. They are depicted as though they can just trend for a while and then disappear, and that's that. That's the end of the story. But those are human lives. Those are actual people who lived on this actual earth and went through the same motions that we do. Yeah, we just move on to the next one just like that and just like that, and it keeps on happening year after year, month after month, and there's so many names that we probably don't even know because it never comes to light, much like that of Ahmaud Arbery, who, if there was no camera evidence, if nobody had spoken out, then we would have never known that that had happened. So that's what the paper slips signify. So the yellow paint splotched on it's pretty much ties back into the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Their colors are black and yellow, and I just wanted to incorporate a little bit of the Black Lives Matters movement logo colors. So then comes the red paint. Although gruesome, it does depict blood. I wanted to put emphasis on this because these people have died at the hands of armed, mostly white people, and also policemen and things like that. So it really brings the piece together. It's kind of like the staple, like that's where you look to first when you see the piece. And I wrote "say their name" because we have to keep on reminding ourselves that these are actual people, and like I said before, we see them as disposable, so we want to remember their name. It's kind of like a memorial for them. So pretty much continue saying their name, know who they are, know their stories, and know where to go to help those families, because I cannot imagine what they must be going through and the hardships they must face, and especially being in the light of social media, the press, everything like that. Like that just has to be a very difficult time for these people. So my thoughts: social change can and will make a difference. It has in the past, and it will continue to do so. We are constantly living in history. Sometimes we think that we live in this perfect society, that nothing can ever get better, nothing can ever change. We're just stuck here, and this is life. But sadly, that is not the truth. We are continuously evolving. We are going into a new decade. In the 20s, this feels like it's time for change. It's time for something to happen. The Black community has been disenfranchised for way too long, and it is not fair for the community who this nation is founded upon, because when the slaves came, they are the ones who built this nation up from what it used to be, and it is what it is now. And it is unfair that those lives are being taken by the police, who are supposed to bring our security. So with that being said, Martin Luther King Jr. stated, "United we stand, divided we fall." So staying silent throughout this time of change allows for the system to continue putting disenfranchised communities in the care of corrupt cops. So I said this once and I'll say it again. This is more than a political issue. This involves the lives of human beings. Understanding one's privilege in this country and becoming informed is only the starting point of bringing about change. And if we even if we as a small community of Latin women, if we come together and we form an alliance and we stand by those who are being impacted by this, then we can bring about change, even if it is for a small community. So I full-heartedly believe that the Black Lives Matter movement will bring about change because it's time. So my last slide is ways to support. So we can sign petitions, we can donate, we can protest, but most importantly, we can vote. We are all in college or out of college, and I'm making an assumption that we are all citizens, but those of us who are citizens should vote, even at the local elections, like voting for who our attorneys are, voting for who the sheriffs are, voting for even like the local mayor. Like, that is very important because it's a chain of command. If you vote for them, to support them, and it just goes on and on from there. So not only should we vote for the President of the United States, we also need to inform ourselves and inform our community about those who are in other positions of power, because they are the ones who make the legislations and the acts and the bills and all of that can impact us. So in conclusion, let me answer these questions. So what am I taking away and what am I applying? So there's a lot that I'm taking away from this, but most importantly is that our lives should not be taken with a grain of salt. We are important. Each one of us has a role. Each one of us has a meaning in this life. And I feel like what I'm taking away from this is that I can bring about change, even if it is to one person, even if it is to a few people. I have that in me. I have the potential in me to speak about stuff like this and hopefully bring awareness. So I would love to talk more about this with some of my close friends and see how they stand on it. So it's just about spreading and educating others. So what session spoke to you the most? Probably this one, because I did my project on this about social change. It's just amazing how the steps it takes to become a movement. Like, I just thought that was so fascinating how it can really just start between two people who don't think that the things we're doing is right, and it can evolve from that. So that's definitely something that will stick with me. So how will I continue to be a leader for diversity, equity, and inclusion? This one's a big one, because I feel as though I have it in me. I understand the concepts, but I myself can't do it alone. And I feel as though I have the resources. And so when I do go back onto campus in the fall, I will most definitely reach out to these resources, especially the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. I've worked with them in the past. They're amazing people, but I want to do more. I feel like there can always be more, because our campus is very diverse. It is half black, half white, with a little sprinkle of the others. And I think that it would just be a great opportunity being on this campus and speaking out about stuff with inclusion and diversity. And equity is just, it's very difficult to bring about equity, but it's definitely something that I can bring about, talk about, inform myself, inform others, and hopefully we can make a change and allow for the campus to be a place where people can come and feel safe and grow and prosper and become better humans in this world of chaos that I hope one day will be dismantled. So that is my project. I am currently about to be 15 minutes in, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and vote.